over the last couple of days, a lot of you Steeler fans have been asking me, JT, is Dwayne Haskins the future at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Now, Dwayne Haskins had a phenomenal game against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. He was 16 of 22 passing for 161 passing yards. He threw 1 touchdown. He was really lights out, and I was really impressed with what I saw out of Dwayne Haskins, not just in that game, but how he performed in the Hall of Fame game. He was pretty solid in that game, but overall, he's had a really good offseason. Ever since he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of months ago, he's done nothing but great things. There's been nothing but positive things about Dwayne Haskins said coming from the Steelers organization, the players, and the coaching staff. He was really good during OTAs, minicamp, training camp. I mean, he's really taken this opportunity with the Pittsburgh Steelers seriously, different from how he handled the situation with Washington. And it's really crazy how, when you go to a franchise that really believes in you, that's all in, how that can kind of change somebody's mindset. But at the same time, it's not like Washington didn't believe in Dwayne Haskins neither, because I think that that's kind of like an overblown narrative that a lot of people are trying to push, saying that Washington didn't believe in Dwayne Haskins. Like, I understand why some people feel that way, and I understand why some people wouldn't feel that way. Here's how I feel. I feel like it was 50-50, because you guys got to remember that Ron Rivera did start Dwayne Haskins. So, I mean, he did have a little bit of confidence in him to the point that he was willing to name him the starter to start out the season. But I also understand, there were a lot of things that went on behind the scenes that haven't really been reported about the Ron Rivera and Dwayne Haskins relationship. And I'm pretty sure if Ron Rivera could rewind the clock and go back in time, he probably would do a lot of things differently in terms of how he handled Dwayne Haskins. You got to remember that Dwayne Haskins wasn't the guy who Ron Rivera wanted. He didn't draft Dwayne Haskins, so of course he was going to have a thin leash in terms of what he was willing to accept and put up from Dwayne Haskins. So Dwayne Haskins has made the most out of his second opportunity with Pittsburgh, and I say that he probably has been the second best quarterback right now on this roster behind Big Ben. Joshua Dobbs has also been pretty solid, even though he did throw an interception. Outside of that, Joshua Dobbs has been really solid as well. But when it comes to him being the quarterback of the future for Pittsburgh, and my guy Juice Alert asked me this same question on his podcast a couple of days ago. Make sure that you guys go ahead and subscribe to my guy Juice Alert. I'll link it down in the comment section down below. But he basically asked me the similar question, and I told him in all honesty, I don't really know. And here's why I'm still undecided. Dwayne Haskins is on a 1-year deal. I think that Pittsburgh plans on bringing back Dwayne Haskins next year if Ben Roethlisberger retires, and if they can't find any better quarterbacks in the free agency market, rather that be, Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson. But if Pittsburgh can't find a solid replacement for Big Ben when he retires, if he does retire at the end of this season, then I think Pittsburgh could probably bring back Dwayne Haskins, because you bring back a guy who knows the system. He's been in the offense for a year. But if they can find better candidates to be Big Ben's replacement over Dwayne Haskins, then I also could see it going that way. But I also could see Pittsburgh most likely bringing back Dwayne Haskins on another 1-year deal if Big Ben retires, simply for the fact that, they're going to give him 1 year to prove that he has what it takes to be the starting quarterback in Pittsburgh. They're going to give him 1 year as the starter, and depending on how well he performs, if he performs well, then he'll probably get a long-term extension. If he doesn't, he'll probably end up, being back in the free agency market again. So that's really the two ways I see the scenario playing out. I think one, Pittsburgh may be having Dwayne Haskins as an insurance plan just in case they can't find a better candidate if Big Ben hangs up the cleats at the end of this year. Or two, I think that they plan on giving Dwayne Haskins another 1-year deal after this year, giving him a whole season to prove that he has what it takes to be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL. But right now, I'm still really undecided, because if he was on a 2-year deal and he was 100% going to be back in the black and gold next year, then I probably would say heck yeah. But for right now, I think the only way we probably will find out that answer is if, God forbid, Big Ben goes down with the injury. If Big Ben goes down with an injury, then we could see Dwayne Haskins come in, and depending on how he performs during that stretch, depending on how long Big Ben is out or how long he's injured, then I think that could also be a determining factor. But I really think that's the only way to say right now if Dwayne Haskins is the future at quarterback. If something unfortunately happens to Big Ben and he, God forbid, gets injured and has to miss some games, depending on how Dwayne Haskins performs in that stretch. But right now, I really don't know, because like part of me wants to say, yeah, Pittsburgh believes in Dwayne Haskins long term. They're all in on him. And a lot of people are going to say, well, JT, there's been a lot of reports that Mike Tomlin believes in Dwayne Haskins, and that's all good, you know, but they believe in Mason Rudolph also. They believe in Joshua Dobbs. One thing that the Pittsburgh Steelers do is that every quarterback that they draft always gets the opportunity to prove that they have what it takes to be the starter. Even Landry Jones had ample opportunities to prove that he was the guy after Big Ben. We saw how that went down. Joshua Dobbs had a slight opportunity against the Las Vegas Raiders not too long ago when Big Ben went down in that game. Mason Rudolph had ample opportunities to prove that he was the guy. Same thing with Devlin Doug Hodges. So the Steelers do give Dwayne Haskins a good chance of having that opportunity to prove himself, because they have done it with pretty much every single quarterback that's on their roster. So as of right now, he's looked really good during the preseason. There's only like 2 preseason games remaining. I think that he most likely is going to win that backup quarterback job over Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph didn't play bad against Philadelphia. He hasn't had as bad as a preseason like everybody tries to make it out to be, but he hasn't really been all that great during training camp. And so far, it looks like Dwayne Haskins is starting to remove himself from this conversation, and he's starting to look like without a question, the unanimous backup quarterback behind Big Ben. But like I said, it's still way too early for me to tell you guys if Dwayne Haskins is or is he not the quarterback of the future, because we'll only find out that question this season if something happens to Big Ben. So we're probably going to have to wait until the end of this year, depending on what happens with Big Ben, to find out. But even if Big Ben does come back for one more year, I expect Dwayne Haskins to be back for another year also if Ben Roethlisberger comes back. But most likely, I can't give you guys an answer to this question because I just don't really think there's enough evidence right now to support that claim right now. But Dwayne Haskins has looked really impressive. He looks like a better quarterback now than what he was when he was playing for Washington. But also, I want to see what Dwayne Haskins does against the ones. He has been going against second stringers and third stringers. I want to see what he's going to do against a first team defense, and hopefully that's something that we get to see more of. Now,